Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, taking a look at one of the main races at Churchill Downs on Saturday. We'll throw up the field for the Grade 3 Ack Ack. This race, a one-turn mile, $300,000 is the purse, carded as race number 10. It's a full field, Mike, and Steve Asmussen has a little bit of a dilemma. It's a good dilemma to have. You've got a talented sprinter like Bo Liam, but you've got Jackie's Warrior already in the barn. And that's why I think Bo Liam's stretching out to a mile to see maybe he could still be a Breeders' Cup contender in the dirt mile.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's probably true. It certainly has to be going through Asmussen's mind. You know, what's he going to do with this horse after this anyway? You do have that grade 1 out in Southern California around Christmas time they could point him toward, but I guess you could also point Jackie's Warrior towards the Malibu after the Breeders' Cup. So we'll see what happens with Bo Liam. He's looked pretty good in his first 3 starts, hasn't he?
He certainly has. And we'll throw up the time form US pace projector. This horse is very fast. He might have to deal with the fastest pace he's ever seen, however, while going the longest he's ever raced. He has gone 7 furlongs and he held on to win by a nose 2 starts back. Very impressive last time out. He should be able to make the lead, but there are some quick ones to his inside.
Yeah, there are. We'll see how the pace plays out. I feel like he could take some pressure up there. Does it matter if he takes pressure? He took pressure in his last 2 starts, and it didn't matter. Those weren't stakes races, and they weren't going a mile. So we'll see what happens. He's very talented. He's got a couple of figures that stand out in this field. So I guess if he runs one of those, he's just going to win, Dan. I still have, at least some questions about this horse at I think he's going to be a very short price in here.
Maryland-bred Exculpatory has won 4 of 6 starts. And before his most recent race, I was talking to Mark Reed, and he said he was really seriously considering running this horse in the Alan Jerkins at Saratoga, a grade 1 race. He decided to run him in the Hilton instead at Charlestown, a 2-turn 7 furlongs, and he was right. And Exculpatory ran huge. Let's watch that race right now. It is a 2-turn race. Speed did well on this day, but this horse was much the best, and he popped a 100 Buyers speed figure. Nice to see Carol Cedeno with a mount in a big race.
Yeah, this horse has made very few mistakes here. They did the right thing by bypassing the Jerkins to run here, and they were rewarded for it. He won that race as easy as he pleased, and it came back with a very solid figure for the race. So we'll see if he can back it up now as he takes on, some much tougher horses here. He's a 3-year-old also against some pretty nice older horses here, Dan. And as fast as he ran last time, none of his other races really give him that much of a chance here. So we'll see if he can back it up.
Momosa, the number 2, graded stakes winner, 3 starts back in a 2-turn mile at Lone Star over Sloppy Going. They then ran him in the San Diego handicap. That's a pretty good field of older horses, and he wasn't embarrassed. And last time out in the Pat O'Brien, once he didn't break, he was in big trouble.
Yeah, true enough. I'm not sure that, cutting back to 7 was necessarily the right thing to do with this horse anyway. But yeah, once he missed the break, that was it for him. The San Diego, I thought, was fine. On the outside, chasing that pace all the way. It just got a little tired at the end. I thought he ran fine in that race. I'm a fan of this horse. I think he's pretty good. I think getting out to a 1-turn mile could help him. He's got a couple of races that put him close. He's probably going to be a price in here. I have no argument with anybody who likes him.
I believe a horse that's dirtied up in here and can get at least a piece at a price is the 3 Guest Suite at 15-1 on the morning line. He won the grade 3 Lecomte way back in 2017. He's still kicking around. I don't think this horse is a sprinter. I think those distances of his last 2 races are way too short for him. He caught a race without much pace last time out in a race won by Just Might, who came back to win a stake at Churchill for his 4th consecutive victory with a 93 Buyer. This horse is a pure miler. His last 4 victories have come at a mile.
Yeah, we agree about the distance for him. It's certainly better for this horse to stretch back out. The question still remains, whether he's good enough to beat a field like this one. Not that he's, facing a bunch of killers here, but it's a good field and there's some upside as well. His most recent, big win, Dan, came very early in 2020 over a wet track where he just, to me, got a great trip in there with a bunch of horses contesting the pace in front of him, and he just closed it down.
Eben, the number 4, seems like a tough spot for a horse making his first start of the year. We haven't seen him in 9.5 months since he didn't do much in the grade 3 Mr. Prospector, a race that had some good horses in there. Obviously, you had Firenze Fire, the runner-up, another next out winner. But I want to watch one off the layoff.
Yeah, me too. I mean, this horse is fine, and he's, run some good races, but it feels like even if he shows up and just runs, fires his absolute best shot off the layoff, I don't know if it's going to be good enough.
And Mr. Dumas seems like more of a turf horse. Yes, he's won on dirt. He won his last start on dirt. The problem was that was a maiden race way back in 2019. He is a rock solid turf horse. He's only raced once this year. He ran in the Buckland going 1.125 at Colonial Downs. He was able to get to an easy lead in that race before tiring. He probably needed it. I'm just not sure if you could transfer his good back turf form to dirt.
Yeah, I'm not either. At a big price, I'm happy to call him, a real wild card in here, though, because he has run some nice races. He's got a little bit of class. And, even as he was, running on dirt a long time ago against maidens, his dirt races at that time about as good as his first couple of races when they switched him over to turf. So I just feel like he's a way better horse now. And if he handles the switch back to dirt here, maybe he can be effective in a race like this at a pretty big price.
There were some very impressive allowance and optional claiming winners at Saratoga that seemed on the doorstep to running in major races like this. Obviously, Bo Liam, one of them, but Aloha West might be one of the more underrated ones. He won twice at the Spa, including this race going 7/8 on September the 2nd. And I like that he was able to get a little bit closer to the pace in this short field. And once he strikes the lead after coming wide off the stretch, he's just going to be too much. 102 Beyer speed figure for Aloha West. I like that the incremental is nice, slow stretch out in distance from 6 to 7. Now the 1 turn mile. He doesn't have to be on the lead. There should be some pace for him to run at. And I don't know. I think he's going to drift off the 7-2.
Yeah, he would have to for me to bet him, but I agree with you. I think he's an interesting horse in here. To me, he's run well in every one of his starts, Dan. He's got the 2 wins at 7 furlongs, and the only time he lost at Kelly's Landing, I thought he ran great that day with really no chance to win considering the trip he pulled. I think this horse is underrated. Would I bet him at 7-2 against this field? I would not. But if he drifts, I think he has a chance.
Plainsman won the Grade 3 Discovery at Aqueduct for Brad Cox in 2018, and ever since Brad got him back last fall, he's just put him in spots where this horse can succeed. And he ran very well in the Governor's Cup. I know he had a 3-race win streak snapped, but let's watch that race right now. He had to do a lot of work on the lead going 1.125 that day. As you see, the cavalry charge is upon him, and he stays on very gamely to just miss by a neck, and the 3rd place finisher would come back to win the other day at Churchill with a 96 Beyer.
Yeah, I like this performance from him. It's interesting, too, when you watch the whole race, Dan, because the first time through the stretch, as they broke from the gate, it looked like his rider initially wanted to rate him, and then he just changed his mind, and he went up and he attacked the pace, and he just wound up having to fight off a ton of challenges. And there, he was probably best last time, even though he didn't win. We'll see about him cutting back to a 1-turn mile. I don't know how I feel about that, especially for this horse, because it feels like all of his good races are when he's involved on the pace early. And I think this pace is going to be fast.
It took the number 8 Atoka 13 tries to win his first race, but it looks like he's figured the game out now. He's won 2 in a row, including this race, an allowance at Ellis Park, going 6.5 furlongs. He sat off the leaders as the favorite. He pounces. He gears away from these horses to win with a 98 Beyer speed figure. And he does it in impressive fashion. It'd be nice to see Mr. Lucas win one on Lucas Classic Saturday.
It really would. This horse has run very well in his last 2 starts. We'll see if he can transfer that form over to a different track as he steps way up in class here. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it, Dan.
South Bend is a very dangerous contender in here for Bill Mott. This horse has run very well going turf to dirt in the past. I don't think he is a turf horse, so I'm not taking those last 2 races into account at all. And 3 starts back, he was in against Maxfield in the Foster. And all in all, he didn't run badly in that race. But I do like him cutting back to a 1-turn mile in a race with pace. He's got some class, this horse.
Yeah, those are the things that I liked about him. I mean, he's run okay on turf, I guess, at times. I just don't think he's very good on that surface. I think he's better as a dirt horse. And I also feel like he's just better going shorter. And for whatever reason, they never run this horse going short. If you go back to the beginning of his career, the first 3 starts of his career on dirt, Dan, all 1-turn races, all wins, including the Street Sense, a 1-turn mile here at Churchill. He's been, all of his dirt races since then are just, to me, going way too far for him. I think he's going to sit this thing out and come running through the stretch.
And here's the horse that's going to be all the rage at the windows. The 10 Bo Liam, 3 for 3 in his career. Let's watch his last start. He won his first race at Saratoga this summer with a 106 Beyer. In this race, he got right to the front. He wins it with a 107 Beyer, and he's too much for them in the stretch. Here's the class test. Here's the distance test. Here's the pace test. He's obviously talented.
Yeah, I mean, none of those things, pace, class, distance, all that stuff, none of it may matter if he shows up and runs, one of his last two starts, because the figures could belie all those things. He's a really fast horse. He's looked really good winning all of his races. So we'll see what happens. Again, I don't know that I'm necessarily sold on him yet. I have been impressed with him for sure. He's going to be a super short price in this race, Dan, though, and I wouldn't mind taking a shot against him.
I kind of feel the same way about Rushy as I do about the 9 South Bend. And I know you and I have always been fans of Rushy. He finally gets a chance to run back to a one-turn mile. He won the Pat Day Mile, of course, last summer at Churchill Downs. I don't know. I can make excuses for his last few races, Mike. I don't think he wants to go a mile and a quarter, and they ran him in that Gold Cup at Santa Anita. In the San Diego, somehow he ended up on the lead in that race. And last time out at Charlestown, he was going a 3-turn mile and an eighth. I think this distance hits him right between the eyes. The question is he in the same form he was in last year?
Those are all the questions that I had. But I agree with everything you said about him. I could easily make excuses for his last 3 starts. Harder to make an excuse for the Oaklawn Mile, although he was off the layoff there. He got a great trip that day and just got nailed by my standards, but he still ran an okay race in there. I could have picked him on top in here. I don't know. I guess my problem with him, Dan, is if he's going to be around 4-1, I'm not going to bet him at that price. So I didn't pick him, but I could definitely use this horse. I think he could win.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Grade 3 Ack Ack Stakes. Mike's going with a bit of a price, South Bend. This horse, again, has a lot of angles going for him. He should get the right race flow. And Mike and I like him on dirt, cutting back a little bit in distance. Bolium, we'll find out how good he is. I think he's pretty good, but we'll have to see. And I don't think he's going to be 3-1.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be 3-1 either. And in a lot of ways, I'm rooting for him to show up and run another big race here, Dan, because I think he could be a really nice horse. But the more I thought about the race, the more I just realized I'm not betting him in here. And he is going to be much shorter than the 3-1, I think. So I'm going to try to beat him. And I'm going to pick somebody else. And I'm going to hope that South Bend gets the right setup here and comes running through the stretch.
9, 10, 6, 11 for Mike. 10, 6, 1, 7 for me. It's the Grade 3 Ack Ack on Lucas Classic Saturday at Churchill. Good luck.